What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got some beautiful gameplay for you guys today because guess what? Yes, indeed, the title is not lying to you all. Skill-based matchmaking has been officially toned down in Black Ops 6, but only through a very specific way. But guys, before we go ahead and dive deep into the topic, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, ladies and gentlemen. We post daily here at 8 morning Eastern Time. And of course, don't forget Season 1 is indeed dropping. Is it tomorrow or the day after? I think it's tomorrow. So by all means, I'm going to actually be streaming Black Ops 6 today to prep myself up for Season 1. If you guys are interested, tune into the live stream. I do it over on Twitch. Those streams usually go live around 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. And you best believe you'll be able to see my first impressions of Season 1 there before we make further content on it, on this YouTube channel. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, today I want to hyper-focus on skill-based matchmaking within Black Ops 6. As we already know, it is one of the biggest detriments to this overall franchise. Ever since Modern Warfare 2019 up to current date, this game has suffered from the matchmaking system. But there's been one thing that I've always done to kind of avoid the matchmaking within these Call of Duty titles. Ever since Modern Warfare 2019, I always branched off to the bigger modes. Modern Warfare 2019, I messed with Ground War and 10v10, Black Ops Cold War that had the bigger pacing maps, and obviously I feel like Cold War didn't, play too bad in the mid-cycle in 6v6, but I still enjoyed playing the larger modes. Vanguard had combat pacing, so on and so forth. Modern Warfare 3 2023 also had 10v10 that I played all the time. And Black Ops 6, here we are. And they finally introduced 10v10. Now, the reason that I always hyper-focus 10v10 is because it's much harder for the matchmaking to be able to hyper-focus you into a very thick, competitive, skill-based matchmaking bracket. I think the biggest problem with the matchmaking in current-day Call of Duty is the fact that you can't play alone. Now, if you play with a full 6 stack of players or you play with a bunch of friends, it's a night and day difference. You can tolerate the matchmaking. It's not as thick. But for solo players, it is an absolute nightmare. I can't do it. I simply can't do it. I need at least one other person in my party to make the game at least semi-playable when I'm playing solo within 6v6. Because once again, there's not that many players. All it has to do is find 12 players altogether. So you best believe the matchmaking algorithm is doing everything in its power to find every competent opponent that it could put up against you. Your equal individual to make sure you have the sweatiest of sweatiest competition. And 9 times out of 10, the system completely fails because you yourself are carrying a bunch of people who shouldn't even be in your bracket. Hence why I always say it's great to run with a 6-man party because you can guarantee the people on your team, whereas if you're playing solo, the algorithm guarantees the people on your team. And let me tell you, it is not consistent whatsoever. But when you move over to 10v10, 20 people is a lot more than 12. And in order to make sure the matchmaking is going a bit faster, and also you got to keep in mind, people still play 6v6 a lot, so not everybody is on 10v10. And also when Warzone drops, Warzone is extraordinarily popular within Call of Duty, so people are branching off to there. So to decrease the wait times, usually in games like 10v10 or Ground War or any larger scale mode, they are a bit more lenient. Whereas in a 12-man, match, they can hyper-focus competitiveness because it won't make the matchmaking super-duper long. But in 10v10, like I said, they have to tone it down just a little bit. Not completely, but just a little bit, so you're not sitting there waiting for 10 hours to find a game within Black Ops 6 or any Call of Duty game. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you guys, the results of 10v10 and Black Ops 6 are phenomenal. Like, this game, just like a lot of the other Call of Duty games that have released in the recent years, plays so good when you get a nice mix of opponents in your game, and you can play Call of Duty like Call of Duty, not a competitive CDL match where everybody's, playing for $5,000 on the line. No, you could just play COD as COD, casually. You play the OBJ when it's time to play the OBJ. Maybe you can try to go for some streaks. Maybe you're going for some camos. It doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're hyper-focusing. You can enjoy yourself. You see tons of people sitting in the back of the map using launchers, like 2 to 3 people, always shooting out things with launchers. You see people sweating out and getting streaks. You see people hopping on the OBJ. There's variety and fun times within 10v10, and it improves the experience of Black Ops 6 tremendously, and I'm so happy they put this into this game. I really wish that they would stop treating 10v10 like some hype event mode, because ever since the beginning of time in Call of Duty, we've always had Ground War. It's always been a feature in Call of Duty. I don't know why they trickle it out, like Nuketown again for another example. It's like these things should be staples in these games that drop right at launch and not used as a hype tactic later down the road. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you want to go as a solo player. Shoot, even if you're playing with a bunch of friends or a squad, I would still say 10v10 is way more enjoyable than it is compared to 6v6. But ladies and gentlemen, the addition of 10v10 didn't just bring me enjoyment with the lack of skill-based matchmaking and more casual lobbies. If you guys know me, if you guys been watching me for a while now, you know I enjoy more of the medium to large sized maps. I hate the size of Nuketown, Shipment, anything that is small, condensed, and made for holding head glitches and holding spawn traps for the entire game, with very minimal flank routes unless you spam smokes or something, stuff like that. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's fun from time to time. I can still enjoy it. But an overabundance of these maps is just, it's bad. It's bad. It's very bad. I don't enjoy it whatsoever. Like, I don't mind having, a shipment in the mix every so often, but I need a bunch of other maps to kind of add variety. So it's not just shipment here, shipment there, shipment here, shipment there. It's just too much. There's no variety in the gameplay loop. It's the same exact loop, the same exact thought process, the same exact, head glitches, angles. No, I'm all good. But sadly, in Black Ops 6, that is a lot of the maps. And the small few maps that are large never get picked. It's once again the classic Call of Duty community. I kind of wanted to make a video about this because it's funny, but it's true though. It's like every single time they released a new map, like Modern Warfare 3 2023, for example, they released all the OG Modern Warfare 2 maps, and people are saying they're horrible now. Like, they're the same maps. All the new DLC maps they introduced into that game, which were really, really, really good, people didn't enjoy them. They claimed they were too big. Every single map that wasn't the size of Shipment, if you go on Twitter or Reddit, you will see nonstop spam of people saying these maps are too big. And now here we are in Black Ops 6, and you have the whole community saying, well, they're too small now. They're too small. Now, when I say, you guys know for a fact, I mean it, because I've been preaching that I enjoy the bigger maps in all these recent Call of Duty games for ages now. My opinion hasn't really changed up, but man, oh man, it's hilarious to watch people say the maps are too small, and then when one of the bigger maps come up in the rotation, nobody chooses it. It's like they're complaining that all the small maps are in the game, and they're complaining that Treyarch is only focusing on the small maps, but they're not helping when it comes to the data, right? We all know these devs work off of the data, right? And they see the pick rate of small maps, and people aren't changing that. They're still picking the small maps. Well, 10v10 changes that a little bit, and it makes me so extraordinarily happy, because I enjoy the larger maps in this game. Maps like Lowtown, Protocol, Scud. I know, everybody hates Scud, but I don't hate it. There's plenty of flank routes for me to, work my way around. That's why I like big maps. I like big maps because there's more ways to flank, compared to a small map where there's not many flank routes. It's just hold head glitch and then hold spawn trap. But, I like those maps. Vorkuta, but nobody ever picks them. But in 10v10, they're being picked constantly, and I love that. Even Red Card, which I would agree with people that is probably one of the worst maps in the game when it comes to the flow of 6v6. But transfer that bad boy into 10v10, it's actually not bad. I enjoy it so much more. When there's more players to fill some of the spaces within these maps, it doesn't get too shabby, because I know a lot of people, once again, want that instant crack addiction when it comes to Call of Duty. I think that's why Shipment and maps like that are so popular. Nuketown. Because you don't have to run that far. You're always going to find combat. You don't really got to understand the routes, the flanks, power positions, where people like to hold, where people like to go, the popular spot. You don't have to learn any of that stuff, You just run forward and you instantly get combat. It's very easy. And 10v10 kind of does that to the larger maps, right? A lot of the spots where you would have to be a knowledgeable player, in order to find people fast and know, where everybody's at, you have to actually have map knowledge and know about things. You don't need that anymore, because pretty much every spot on the map is going to be filled with at least one player. And in this game, the maps are not large whatsoever. The largest maps are literally medium in this game. It's weird. It's very weird how a lot of these maps are labeled in this game, but it's true. The largest maps in Black Ops 6 are medium. So again, 10v10 fits so nicely, and the maps actually get picked. So for all of the larger scaled maps and people who love those maps, that is the place to go. Hop in 10v10. If you want a little bit more variety and you're tired of playing on the same 3 small maps in the game, and you're tired of watching big maps get voted out by random 24/7, head into 10v10. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, this is the spot to be. I am just beyond happy that they introduced this into the game, because it's going to make the solo experience so much more enjoyable. Seriously, I'm not lying to you guys. If you are a solo player and you are struggling with the ways of skill-based matchmaking and how it handles your lobbies, you gotta hop into 10v10. But it definitely makes me sad because 6v6 used to be the vibe. COD 4, World at War, Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. All these games were able to thrive in 6v6. You didn't need larger player counts. They were just naturally fun. And it's because the matchmaking didn't prioritize ultra-competitive matches. You had all different types of variety in your games, which allow people to sit back, kick back, and enjoy it. It's not like current-day skill-based matchmaking, where the only time you can get a casual game is if you stuff the match with double to triple the player count, so it's just a ridiculous amount of players, so it's going to be more randomness in the game, and it's just, it didn't used to be that way, and it's sad to see that that's the only way you can really break the system within Call of Duty. I mean, you could two-box, but I don't really necessarily think two-boxing is that great. I mean, realistically, you're probably just destroying a bunch of, people who have disabilities and ruining their matches and their time. The point being, it just shouldn't be in the game whatsoever, right? That protected bracket has always been there, but again, the matchmaking was toned back. Now it's like people are reverse boosting and two-boxing into the protected bracket, which isn't really necessarily getting you into, lesser skill-based matchmaking lobbies. You're just going into the protected bracket. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, they just need to resolve this. I hope they do one day, but again, I always highly doubt it. But for the time being, as always, 10v10 is going to be the spot to go, ladies and gentlemen. Low-key, I hope they add the rest of the maps into the rotation. I hope they do. I know that some of them, like Babylon, are going to play horribly, but I just don't care. I don't care. I would much rather play a map with a ridiculous player count as long as it's more fun than 6v6. Because 6v6, it doesn't matter. It might play better than a 10v10 on Babylon when it comes to, that. But it doesn't matter. Even if the flow's better, it's still going to be obnoxious, sweaty, and the spawns are still garbage anyway. So you might as well add some more players into the mix, right? It's still going to be garbage spawns, but at least you'll have more players, and it's going to be more random and more casual. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Have you guys tried out 10v10? Let me know your experience down below. Do you think the skill-based matchmaking is toned down in that mode? Do you think it's still the exact same? I don't know. I've tried it out plenty of times solo. I haven't been squatting up with anybody. I'm having a blast in it. So we'll see. I'm going to squad up with some people today on stream. Of course, if you guys are interested, tune into my live stream over on Twitch. It should be up around 12 p.m. Eastern time. We always host open lobbies. We're going to be running 6-man parties up in 10v10 to see how it feels and if things change up a little bit, because the solo experience was nice, but now we got to see how it is when, you actually stack up in a 10v10 experience. But if it's anything like the previous experiences, it should be pretty chill regardless. But guys, thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe, hit that bell, guys, if you enjoy this type of content. And as always, thank you all for checking in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.